ever played fighting games on your keyboard and want to keep that inverted T for your directionals, the Mixbox style might be for you. If you're on a budget and still want a fighting controller, you owe it to self you stick around for this review of the PXN-X8. Let's take a look at the dimensions of the PXN-X8. First of all, this side we are just shy of 13 inches or about 330 millimeters. Without the cable, we are about 8.5 inches or 225 millimeters or so. With the cable, you're adding probably another inch or so, so about 9.5 before you can move this completely aside, or about 240 millimeters or so. As far as height, this is just above 1.5 inches or about 40 millimeters. In case you were wondering, with the Steam Deck, could I probably play this on an airport, train, or somewhere else compact? Well, if we take a look, you are measuring about 12 inches to the back of the Steam Deck here from the front of the case. So it might be doable. It depends on what kind of tray setup you have. You are going to need this USB-A to C converter, and you're going to need something to stand up your Steam Deck on. And of course, this is right up against it. So how practical this is, it might vary, but this is the minimum distance case. Let's take a look at the weight of the X8. So we're just shy of 2 pounds and 5 ounces or so. I think if I got the cable on top and such, that's about what it would read. Maybe a tiny bit more. So, it's not super heavyweight or anything. A nice, stable weight. So let's talk about my first impressions on the X8. And looking at the website, $63 free shipping. That's hard to beat, really, and we'll see if, sometimes you pay that amount and you don't get what you really want to. I'm hoping that's not the case here, and we have a new value leader. Anyhow, it's obviously a Mixbox style, arrow key directional sort of layout, and these guys are very loud. They're definitely clicky switches. The website says they use green axis, but we have a blue there, so I'm not sure, and I can't really tell what brand this is, but they are fairly heavy switches, and they're definitely clicky, and it doesn't seem like they are removable. So those are soldered pretty well in there. Unfortunately, without some soldering knowledge, you're not going to be able to take those out, I don't believe. Otherwise, if you like a clicky feel, this feels pretty good, but it's not the quietest. The other thing I'm noticing is typically in Mixbox layouts, you're going to have either this straight-on configuration that PXN opted for, or you're going to have kind of a 15-degree tilt, which I feel is the more ergonomic option. Now, really though, I feel like it's just fine. You're not going to really run anything. It just feels a little weird going from top to bottom. That's all. Buttons feel okay. You've got a Vuelix layout here, so pretty standard. They're nicely labeled, so that's great. I do like that all of our option buttons are labeled. We're running into a lot of arcade sticks that just kind of, here's buttons. What are they? I don't know. So that's very nice. These caps, I assume, are replaceable because you can remove them pretty easily. And you got a pretty much standard MX cap there, so yeah, definitely should be able to. These guys do sit a little tall, so you're only going like a third of the way before they activate. So if you want something a little more low profile, there's probably keycaps that'll fit your playstyle there. I mean, these aren't bad by any stretch. They're just fine. They're very serviceable, but they do sit a little tall. So I don't know. You may want to try some lower ones. As far as these, not going to be able to remove them with my fingers. So we've got a DP and LS switch, which is nice. Turbo, touchpad, share, home, all that good stuff. and they do advertise that the PXN is compatible with your PlayStation 4 or Xbox, but it's kind of one of those piggyback options, so you have to use one of the included cables to do so. I believe any compatible cable will work, just a USB-A, and in this case to micro, so the idea is just to plug it into here, and then, oh, don't run away. It's gonna just fall off. Okay, so there we go. And this is, well, of course, let it go. It's not gonna work. There we go. I'm going to give you Xbox, compatibility there. And the nice thing is there is an actual manual, which you don't see a lot of. It might be like a single card, and actually does tell you, hey, here's how you do it. So use on Xbox One, X Series, and then just plug it in there, plug it in there. You can use on Switch, PS4, PS3 does not have PS5 compatibility. At least that's not listed. So it's kind of hard to get a very low price point and get a fighting controller that's compatible. Just doesn't seem to be on the market quite yet, even though the PS5's been out a while. But maybe that code will be cracked soon. We can always hope. So it appears that on PC, on Android, and PS3, you don't need the piggyback controller. So you don't need this, or this as needed. So it's not optimal if you have to do that. Obviously, if you want to play in your lap and you have nowhere to put this, put your controller, then you're out of luck. But at least that option is there. Coming at this price point, I feel like that's really an unexpected feature. So that said, let's move this guy. I am noticing we've got a attached cable. It's not detachable, as you can see, there, and that's where you plug in the optional controller for your Xbox or PlayStation 4. One nice touch was the included. Oh, let me get it in the frame. The included wrap. So I love Velcro wraps. I use them all the time. We didn't get. It's not on the option cables for your plug-in controller, but it is on your main cable, so that's a nice touch. I like that. Usually at this kind of price point, it's just, here's a cable, good luck. Tie it with a rubber band or tie it around itself, or do whatever your kids do. So that's nice. As far as other features, there is a little headset jack. I'm not sure I would ever use that, but maybe for late night gaming it would be useful. And I'll have to demo that. Otherwise, let's go ahead and open it up a little bit so we can see what's on the inside. Let's go ahead and take a look at the insides of the X8. And before I do so, there's a few things I've noticed. First of all, we've got some nice rubber feet. I've complained a lot about other sticks not having, something to keep it from sliding around on tables, etc. So we'll see how well that works. It's held in place by 6 screws, this bottom panel here. And another thing I'm noticing, subtle detail, but we actually have some labeling as to, what the make and model of this stick is, as well as a bona fide serial number. That's pretty amazing. A lot of the units we review, they're kind of homebrew stuff, but it's nice. It's a nice change. Well, let's see what's on the inside. All right, so let's start up here and we'll work our way around. First of all, we've got a PCB, pretty simple, contact for our option buttons. And they're labeled on the inside too, which is nice. Anyhow, that's just connected to our main board here, which has our connection to your external controller if you want to bring that in. And that's connected to, of course, everything else. And here we have, looks like pretty standard USB out. I wonder if you're really enterprising, could you slip in a removable port, new trick or something like that, and then just wire it to go here. Possible project in the future if you really want to, but this setup, not too bad. You've got a strain relief, so not too worried. Anyhow, as we come down here, we've got our mixbox control, and yes, these switches are all soldered in, so you need to be handy with a soldering iron if you want to replace them. I mean, I kind of expect that at this price point, but it's, you know, most mechanical switch-based buttons have the option to pull those switches and replace them. Maybe there's a modification that can be done with mil-max sockets to make them hot swappable. I'm not sure. Anyhow, one subtle detail, I kind of skipped over it here, and I'm just noticing here, these are little weights. So if we can ply one out, you know, which is nice to give this joystick some added heft. I think without it, you'd be a little too lightweight, too easy to sling around. So adding just a little bit here and here and here, that's nice. And I'm noticing these posts for added rigidity. That's good. So, you know, when you press on it in the center, you know, you get a little mash heavy. It's not going to cave and flex or break. So that's a real nice touch. Of course, this is your headphone jack, just wired up to here. Coming around here, we have our buttons. And yep, these guys are soldered in as well. Again, kind of understand it at the $63 price point. And so it looks like all the buttons, I noticed that they use plate mount switches. So usually PCB mount will have the two side pins here and here, which is fine. It works fine. That's just an observation, not a negative. Let's see if we can't pop one of these buttons. So we'll be careful about that. Alright, this guy's out, and it's going to confirm what I pretty much already think. It's another blue switch like we saw under here. Come on. And these pop pretty similar to Sam was. And yeah, there we go. So we got the blue switch in here. And it doesn't feel nearly as loud until you put the plunger on, so that's interesting. We'll go ahead and shove that back on. Come on. Alright. And then it does have a neat little guide, so it's very subtle. These little tabs here match to tabs here, so I don't think swapping the buttons without some dremeling work is going to be possible. And then you'd have to accommodate their wiring. Oh, come on. I know you want to go. There we go. Alright. So not... Yeah, they are kind of snap-in buttons. It's interesting that holding them the plunger side is what gets it to come out. Now, it's not going to, you know, somehow reverse come out, so these are pretty secure. I didn't have any problems just messing around and mashing on it, doing a little bit of play testing. So that's pretty much the internals of the X8. There's, you know, nothing really other than that right now. Again, you know, the only big flaws I would say is, you know, this fixed cable. Yeah, I get it for $63. I've kind of expect that, as well as the soldered in buttons. You know, okay. It does make replacing it a bit of a challenge because you have these, you know, you have to change from these two wires to, you know, if you put in SAMWAs, for example, you'd have to change them over to quick release or just solder it on or something like that. So that said, let's get the cover on and let's go down to the lab. We're here in the lab with the X8, and it recognizes as a just fighting box in Windows, but it's using X input, so that's good. So let's go ahead and run through a few things. I'm in DP mode, which is, you know, directional pad, so we're looking at that. If we press both together, it's kind of last one style, so that works. But if I do this, yeah. So usually on SOCD stuff, if I press these together, then up's going to win all the time. Here it is. But if I press, let's say up, and hit down, then it's going to down. So we're doing a last win style, so it's a little different than kind of that standard Brook style SOCD, where it's, you know, left and right give you nothing, up and down give you up. So in this case, I'm getting down afterwards. And that might affect how you play. I don't know if there's a real way to change that. I don't think there is, but we'll continue on. So otherwise, these are pretty responsive, pretty quick. I'm not sensing a lot of lag right now. Obviously, we're not in game, so maybe we'll see more. Let's go ahead and toggle through our buttons here. Have a little bit more noise because the clicky switches in there. I mean, these aren't the most highest quality switches that are going to be lubed and filmed and super nice, but they're there. Okay, these option buttons are working. I'm going to avoid that home button. It is nice we have that lighted touch there. That's very Xbox-like. So share. Touchpad is not, usually we're not going to show that in any tester we have online, so that's fine. I'm going to try changing over to the left stick, and yep, it works right away. So that's nice. There's no right stick configuration option, but it's not really needed, I don't feel. So let's try our turbo as well. So we've got a nice LED here. That's a nice touch. Instead of all right. Yep, it uses the hold it standard kind of way to turn it on and off. So there we go. Okay. So far, I'm liking what I'm feeling overall. We'll have to get in game to really battle test it.
Like this and...
We're going to kick things off with some Persona 4. And first thing off, I noticed this is very nice. I point out the rubber, and I point out many of my reviews. And I wish this thing would stop sliding. I wish it would stop moving around. Even, I'm playing a lot of hitboxes that, don't have a lot of sliding because you're directing your force downward. On here, yeah, I'm not getting a lot of sliding. It's super nice. And this foam here for the keyboard mat, it's actually kind of slick most times, but this is doing a good job keeping it rooted in place. So if I really tried, then I'm sure I'll move it, but it does resist movement by itself. It works pretty well on a table, flatter, like wood or whatever. So that's nice too. Anyway, let's do some basic testing. There's that. Okay. Cheating a little bit, but there you go. If we switch to LS, it still works. I'm going to keep it in DP mode. I've been playing so many hitboxes that I'm going to have to fight the urge to do this. Now, I did think, when I first saw this again, that this straight-on angle would be a pain. It's not too bad. Even my hand comes in at an angle anyway and just kind of rest on it pretty well, so it's not bad. Basics are working pretty well. You can hear the button presses though. They are pretty loud, to say the least. These are clicky switches, and unfortunately, as we saw in internals, they're without a lot of work. You're not replacing them.
First, come on.
So we do the counter.
I see you. Now, let's do it.
Oh, okay.
I see you. Stay where you are. Run.
Alright. So, chord circle motions, pretty nice. Do them very quickly, just a couple button taps. Or you can kind of roll it a little bit, but yeah.
Now, let's do this. Stay where you are.
Okay. Anyway, back dashes, forward dashes, jump.
This is
already starting to hit where the hitbox up is. So it's a little... So double jump is fine. But
Bring it on.
I'm wondering how I'm gonna do. Yeah, it's tricky to do a super jump. Okay, you almost have to pick your finger up. If I want to do this, like a super jump up is not too hard because it's just down up. But if I want to do to the left or right, it's very hard. And it's not the fault of the X8 really.
Like this and...
It would be nice if this was a little more lenient, but I just can't seem to do it. Not very well. You can kind of make up for it just double jumping, but maybe there's a better way I'm just missing. It's just difficult for me. Alright. Okay, so feeling okay here. Let's go try another game.
Like this and...
Alright, we're gonna play some Fight of Steel.
Final round. Engage.
So if you're familiar with Fight of Gods or Fight of Animals, this is the same company, Digital Crafter. And in this one, you can do a lot of customization on your robots, their looks, and there's kind of a RPG-ish battle mode here that I'm doing. So you can earn parts and then equip them for various power-ups and abilities. I wonder if I can take advantage of the kind of last one SOCD that this has. Oof. Ouch. Oh, he's catching me sleeping. But then again, I caught him, so it's all fair. Yeah, you can clear under different conditions and, get different parts. So that's a pretty fun game.
Final round. Engage.
Against a CPU that's always wants to attack, it's a little hard to... There we go. And he took out a ton. This is going well. It's not going well. Anyway, so that's my fault, it's not the X8.
Final round.
I think versus a human opponent who, isn't so trigger happy. Jeez. I got a burst. Don't do that. That was silly. That's a little better. Yeah, the computer does slightly more damage. It's a little unfair. Oh. There you go. It killed. Alright. I think we're good here. Again, feels pretty good. It's hard to say if this is as quick as a Brookboard. The buttons, I feel like it's a little bit longer throw than maybe usual. That's really subjective. I don't know. I don't have a good measure. It's not to say they feel terribly slow and really long press, but maybe just a hair longer. It's really that's a pure vibe. So take that with a bucket of salt. Anyhow, let's move on to our last game. Anyhow, for our last game, I figured I'd do something, kind of bring back the old, playing Flash games in the library computer or whatever. Sneaking in games at work. You only have a keyboard. That's how it felt. Perfectly natural. If you're not used to a hitbox layout, big spots can be perfect for this sort of game. Obviously, you're playing more modern shooters that take advantage of analog input, then this might not be as great. One thing I didn't mention so far is that unlike some kind of non-Brook controllers, this plugged into Steam and worked right away. So I noticed when I reviewed the J500 that I had to set up. That does not make you invincible. Whoops. I think that'll do it for lap time. Responsiveness feels good. I mostly kind of pointed out, or will, that these keycaps are a little high, but they are replaceable, so we'll take a look at that. Alright then, let's go finish this review out. So let's talk about what I liked, some things to watch for, and what can be improved upon on the X8. So first of all, what did I like? For $63 free shipping from PXN, I mean, this is a pretty good overall little package. I mean, the plastic is nice. It's, this is not going to be your premium controller, of course, and but for the price, if you're looking just to get into fighting games and, this kind of layout is what you're comfortable with, that's really a steal. So anyway, being able to plug in your PS4 or your Xbox controller and get that compatibility, sure, it's a little inconvenient, but it's there. It's something that I don't know if any other controller at this price point does, save for maybe like Mayflash or something like that. So that's a very nice touch. Overall, the presentation is very good. I've got some pretty sturdy plastic. It's not going to flex super hard unless I'm really, really trying. So it does bend a little bit, but that's me being a gorilla. You've got label buttons. The layout's very nice. Standard Vuelix. You're set there. It's a decent form factor, not super heavy, so you can take it where you want to. And keyboard switch based buttons and directionals. Yep, I know they're loud. If you don't like clicky, then there's that. But, you know, these do last a long time, and they feel pretty good. I'm kind of a fan of clicky switches where I can get away with it. I'll play on tactile or clicky, depending on my mood for the day, you know, or, you know, depending on how much noise I can afford to make. So there's that, you know, and the fact that keyboard switch-based buttons usually last longer. Yes, I know we'll talk about the lack of changeability later, but actually having that in there is kind of surprising at this price point for me. So overall, I'm feeling pretty good about, you know, the fit finish is good, button, you know, feels good overall, and everything's labeled. That just makes me so happy. So what about the X8 should you watch out for? Just little things that maybe you can change, or, you know, it maybe to some people's taste, maybe not be. There's only a couple things really, and this is a very kind of plug-and-play controller. There's not a lot of do-it-yourself that's going to happen here. You'd have to really do a lot of work to mod for like Sanwa buttons or Samitsu or whatever, if that's your flavor. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck with these, because it has these little tabs inside that, you know, guide these back in if you take them out. And you can't really change artwork. This is pretty much what you get. I think there's a couple different flavors of, you know, like there's white and then there's this black. So, you know, there's that. You can swap out the keycaps. You could put on stickers around, you know, the various edges, etc. But other than that, if you're looking for a lot of customization, not going to happen. But if you're looking for just a plug-and-play experience, then here you go. So what could we improve upon here? Well, I would still like to see the 15-degree angle for directionals. That seems to be what most Mixbox players like, and I just feel it adds that slight bit of more comfort. And I don't think that would cost a whole lot to implement. You know, you have to re-engineer the PCB a little bit, and maybe there could be an X8 Deluxe that has some of the things I'm going to mention here as well. One of which is the non-removable key switches. That's just, it hurts, but I can also understand at $63 why they did that. It's just easier to solder them in and forget about it. We can't change the art. Like I kind of mentioned, this is a very plug-and-play thing, but there's not even any way to change this inset out for anything else. No way to print it. I imagine if you're very enterprising, you could figure out a way to do vinyl here, but for most people, that's just not practical. We want to be able to pull up a PSD or whatever file in, you know, Photoshop, PaintShop Pro, edit it, send the focus attack, get it printed, and put it on our fight stick and make it pretty. But with this, you're kind of stuck here. I mean, sure, you can throw in some stickers. Now, I will say that without acrylic here, there's no fingerprints. So that's, you know, that's a plus. But, you know, other than that, there's not a lot of expression here. You know, you're not going to get different plunger colors because these are the plungers you get, and that's it. They're not, you know, Sanwa standard or whatever. Now, you can change these guys as long as they fit the MX stems, then you're okay. So if you want something a little shorter, different colored, hey, knock yourself out. Some of the other things, non-detachable cable, and again, I understand this price point, why that, you know, option is there. Again, this would probably be a suggestion for a deluxe model that costs a little bit more, you know, $20 to say $30 more to have the detachable cable, the removable switches, etc. But other than that, I did not have a lot to complain about. So let's go into the conclusion. So let's wrap things up with my two favorite questions. Who is this not for, and who is this for? First of all, who is this not for? Obviously, if you're not a Mixbox fan, you have no interest in it, you're more looking for hitbox or a lever, that's not for you. But that's a very obvious point, so don't even really need that. If you really need that 15-degree tilt to feel comfortable to play at this angle, I mean, I think in testing I was fine just going back and forth like that. It didn't really bother me too much. So that was fine. If you need quieter switches or customizable switches, then yeah, that's not going to happen without some work. So maybe you can put Mil-Max sockets in here if you're a real DIY person. I hate trying to desolder. It just never works for me very well. Really just should practice, but that's neither here nor there. So if you're looking for having that ability to customize your switches or replace them whenever you feel like it, this is not going to be it. If you want more customization, I kind of talked about that already. If you need it to have your own artwork all over the place, then sorry, this is not going to be for you. If you're looking for something that's just higher end, period. Yeah, obviously this is not it either. It's not the shiny aluminum of, say, a Victrix AF. It's just not that. So after all that, who is the PXN-X8 really aimed at? And for all those people out there on Reddit fight sticks that you're saying, hey, I just don't have that much money for a fight stick, my parents won't let me have that much money, I just can't seem to save that much, or I'd rather spend it on the games themselves. I don't want to spend a whole lot on the controller. They got you. $63, free shipping. That's probably the lowest you're going to go and still get a very serviceable controller. Now sure, if Mixbox does not appeal to you, then you might take a look at some of PXN's other offerings. But if you played a lot of games on the keyboard and this layout is familiar to you, it feels good. I know of myself, especially in my 20s, sometimes I just fool around on the keyboard and play a game that way when I had nothing else. So I'm very familiar with how to use arrow keys, and if you are too, then this can work for you. Sure, it has maybe not all the benefits of a hitbox where you can do a separate up, but this has a very familiar layout to a lot of people, so it can definitely work. If you want something that's just plug and play, you don't want to fiddle with switches, with buttons, with this, that, and the other, then you can plug in pretty much to PC, PS3, Switch without too much trouble. You probably just need the USB-C adapter for the Switch. That's fine. As long as you have a PS4 controller or an Xbox controller, depending on what you're plugging into, you can get on a PlayStation 4 or a Xbox One, Xbox Series, whatever, just fine. So that is something that maybe other than Mayflash you're not going to see. And again, you've got a very serviceable platform here. It's well built. I mean, it's again, it's not super premium like a Victrix, but if you just want a workhorse controller, the PXN-X8 I feel will work for you. Doesn't cost a lot of money, and you've got a good product right out of the gate. Hey all, if this video helped you make a decision about maybe buying or passing on the X8, or you just felt more informed, felt like, oh, now I know a little bit more about what's out there, could you please leave a like? It really shows that you appreciate our work here. Also, if you're looking forward to more Fight Stick and Fight Stick part reviews, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when we release new videos here on the Arcade Stick. Thanks!
The Arcade Stick.